Hello, welcome to Let's Go Indigo, the new reaction show that tries to put a developmental, integral lens on the news, culture, anything really. It's sort of an educational channel. We're going to try to catch you up to speed on what integral is, what development stages are, and hopefully we can have some fun and we can learn some of these things along the way. So we'll soon take a look at today's topic, which is Democracy Now!, as I'm going to frame as a green news outlet. We'll talk about what green is. And that comes from an element of what's called AQUIL theory. We have quadrants, we have levels of development, we have lines of development, and we'll talk about those things over time. Any one episode, we won't be able to touch on everything, but if you enjoy this, subscribe, hit the like button, come back, and little by little, the things that I will use shorthands for, like these colors, green, you can see over here on the left, orange, amber, we'll talk about these colors a lot. Integral theory itself is sort of a teal perspective. And obviously I've named the show Indigo, which I've said before is kind of a good day. I'd love to be some part of myself operating at an indigo level. And we can perhaps talk about that at some point. But mostly I would love to be green. We're talking about Democracy Now! As a green show. Green is quite developed and amazing. Not to put it down that there are higher, more developed stages, but green is quite amazing when you consider most of humanity's history. So we'll get into all that. But let's just dive into Democracy Now! And little by little, we'll get a taste for these developmental stages. Okay. So let's look at just the show itself, the website. They're airing. I haven't watched the show fully in a long time. I used to watch this daily. I think I was going through a really green maturity stage of my life. I was aware of integral theory, so I was always keeping this lens that I'm going to share with you on the show. But it also was, in my opinion, besides the Daily Evolver, which is a specifically integral teal news podcast. This was a daily way for me to keep up with the world, which I haven't done recently. And I thought green, in terms of development, was as high, what you can get out there on the internet. You can get orange news like CNN. You can get amber traditional news like Fox News. There aren't really very many red newses unless you go to like people's blogs. But obviously there's podcasts out there probably I would label red. But orange is in a great heyday. There's lots of great orange podcasts on the news. The public radio is kind of orange-green. Democracy Now! I feel is a very advanced green. So we'll talk about it today. And right away, what you'll see here, you see their hot topics. They're broadcasting, so we won't watch the show just yet unless we need to. But just looking at it, they have Donald Trump, Pope Francis, Elon Musk, immigration, Ukraine, climate crisis, Gaza. Okay, these are all very green topics for various different reasons. Pope Francis was probably well liked by the green postmodern developmental stage. So if you love Democracy Now!, if you had a stage in your life where you went through Democracy Now!, you probably resonate very strongly with Pope Francis. He seems like a very warm pope. And I'm sure all the news here, for some reason I haven't learned how to scroll yet on this, but we don't need to today. What we'll see here is we also have Donald Trump, which is the opposite of the admiration that green, postmodern, sensitive, developmental stage, inclusive. These are all kind of words you'll see here with green. There's different relativistic, individualistic, pluralistic. These words, I'll try to use various words that mean something, but eventually once you learn the stages, we can just say green, orange, and so on. But green is very positive toward Pope Francis. Donald Trump, on the other hand, if we go back to this, Donald Trump, on the other hand, is really disliked by the green developmental stage. Amber traditionalism seems to love him. Some modern camps love him. Some don't. That's the more rational, modern world, individualistic, achievement oriented. So there's some overlap with Donald Trump. There's some dislike because if they just disagree logically with his, say, tariff policies, you may dislike Trump. But he's a figure that's kind of hated by what we would call green. Elon Musk, similar situation. He's not well liked by the green camp. He's really loved by the orange modern camp. People driving Teslas, all that stuff, and some green worlds because the battery powered cars. You may feel like he actually could be helpful to the environment. All these things, because the climate crisis is definitely a situation where green is really important. Not just they do care about the climate crisis. We all should care about the climate crisis, and in a sense of getting to a more teal or indigo direction, we are going to include the healthy versions of all the previous stages. That can be seen. This is called a quadrant picture. We'll come back to this more and more over time. But here you can see green enveloping, growing beyond orange, but including orange. And development is sometimes messy. Doesn't always, it rejects and doesn't include the best of the previous stages, but it can. And so what we would want to do, if we want to aspire to be teal or above, we would want to include the goals of green. And one of the big important goals of green is to keep the earth healthy and minimize the human impact. And it's debatable about what this or that, but caring about the earth is unavoidable from definitely a developmental perspective. And then, of course, green also cares about the downtrodden, the ones who are left out. Historically, that would have been the LGBTQ community. And I'm not the best at speaking green. You'll see some weaknesses in my own self. Like I said, some parts of me are going to be amber, some parts of me are going to be orange, some parts of me are going to be green, and so on. I'd love to be some part of me indigo, like I mentioned. But the green world is somewhere where I've gone into and try to live my best in that and grow beyond. But some parts of me would love to be green, and they do care about those who are excluded. And immigration, those from other countries, those who have a tougher life than someone who's privileged, green is going to really care about. And so there's a whole section on immigration here. The Ukraine is probably like Gaza, is super complicated and not so easily figured out. But from Green's perspective, Ukraine is the right side of the street. They're going to really support Ukraine. They seem to be the underdog. And so Green often will go for supporting the underdog. Similar with Gaza. It's very complicated. Israel, Palestine, all this stuff. But they are Green News is going to focus on the Palestinian Gaza side of the street. And perhaps I would be curious of more mainstream integral news, how they would balance the perspectives. I would love to hear it. But it is good to get both sides. It's good but it also, when you think about both sides, well, on these topics, if you're talking to somebody green, sure, there's another side, but these sides, the downtrodden, Ukraine, Gaza, they need to be talked about, and maybe from a green perspective, not just maybe, they definitely need to be understood more and cared about more. So that's the strong feeling that green gets. We'll get into more of some of the differences between green and orange and amber and perhaps what teal might look like. But I just want you to, if you like Democracy Now!, if you've never heard of Democracy Now!, I want to have you consider a developmental perspective on it. And again, I would frame it within a green space. Let's watch just a little bit, but we'll keep this short. I'll try to keep these short, watchable. This is perhaps, this is the opening. I used to watch this every day.
From New York, this is Democracy Now!
I've been coming here since 8 a.m. to the Takuya Soup Kitchen for food to alleviate our hunger and be able to stand up. We are suffering from famine, real famine. I have not eaten anything since this morning. I cannot speak because of hunger.
Okay, right there, I mean, it's so nice to see a caring news outlet. So over time, you'll hear lots of complaints because green is like the leading edge of most culture, and it has its problems. But like I've said, it's very developed. It's usually in its healthy versions, very, very caring. And so, this news outlet is shining light on some people who are probably very, very forgotten. And hunger is no joke. And you can't help but be pulled in and care when you see images like that or hear people talking like that. So, thank you for a green news in this world today.
University of Washington's engineering building to protest their school's ties with weapons maker Boeing. The group Students United for Palestinian Equality and Return are demanding, quote, that our tuition money and our research not be used to fund and fuel genocide, they said. In Pennsylvania, 9...
Okay, so that topic is going to be very divisive for some people, and we'll take a quick look here. Again, this news outlet is bringing the green perspective. There's an aspect of the Middle East with Gaza, and the funding from a monetary, perhaps orange world, and so there's going to be people who feel very strongly when you see that headline, and we won't get into that now. We're talking more about Democracy Now! As a whole, but the news, you could feel on that topic a very traditional amber approach from either side. It's going to be black and white, right and wrong. You could also feel very rational about it, very orange. Be like, well, these are the facts. These are what's going on. These are the statistics, and then you can come from a green perspective of just like something feels off or something feels right. There's more of a feelings world. It's not so much about thought, although green in a healthy version will include rational thought. So and then they'll also include a kind of they'll come from some tradition and some black and white, but it's more loosened up. Those are more loosened up to kind of sense into what we might call more of an intuition wisdom. So, well, the dog's barking. Maybe this is time to end, but I would encourage you, go to the site, watch the rest of the headlines. The headlines are really nice to keep up.
Saturday at Swarthmore College as police disbanded a Gaza solidarity and
So yeah, the police, camping, homelessness, all these topics are very, very detailed in the green community. So if you're interested at all, if you have an antibody to what I've been describing as green, maybe you have a strong orange or amber foundation. If you're at all interested in including the good parts of what Democracy Now! Might bring, if you just can't stand Democracy Now!, but I would encourage you, maybe there's some part of you that could be teal or above. Let's open our hearts, open our minds to what might be good about the green developmental worldview. And Democracy Now! Is a good place to go. Maybe you get your emotions rattled. Maybe you get like upset. Maybe you get angry. Maybe you go, there's more to the story. Or you go, oh, they're this or that, or like, oh, they got, you could be on both sides, but start that journey. Go check them out. They're a great green news outlet. And if you're thirsty for something more complex, get involved in a integral teal news outlet. So thanks for joining today. I wish you well on your developmental journey, and let's get the green. Let's maybe create a little bit of teal space and turquoise space in the world, and maybe someday we can talk about indigo. All right, have a blessed day.